Right. I'm Trevor Dickinson, and I have to admit straight away I am an Amiga-holic, so I apologise. I'm pleased to see people like David Pleasance and RJ McCall here today with grey hair, because when I got my first Amiga I had black hair, so that's someone reminded me. So it's nice to see some people growing old, because everyone here looks quite young compared to me. So great. So we're here really to celebrate the 30th anniversary of the Amiga computer. That's why we're here. That's why we come together to celebrate. And looking around the room, I see younger people. So I'm thinking maybe in 30 years' time there'll still be Amigas around running Amigas of some sort or other. So that's really good news. So if I start off with a very short presentation, if I can find where I put that controller. Okay. Right, why are we here today? We're here to celebrate the Amiga. Its 30th anniversary. Not its third anniversary, as it's saying in the corner, because it's cut off. And we're here to celebrate the computer that was launched in 1985 at Lincoln Center in New York City with such pomp and flair. We had the king of American pop art. We had the top female singer from the band Blondie. I love Blondie. And the Amiga was launched on the world. What did it do? It had groundbreaking design that changed the face of computing. It had a custom chipset that freed up the CPU. It had a preemptive multi-tasking operating system that for many years was still much better than anything was out there. And had a very small footprint. It had an elegantly simple GUI, which I still think is one of the best GUIs out there. And it introduced the world to multimedia concept. And today, all modern computers are really based on that same philosophy, if not the same hardware. Now we know as Amigans, after the death of Commodore, and we've got ex-Commodore joint managing director of Commodore UK here, you can tell us more about that, I hope. After the death of Commodore, the Amiga went through a number of transitions, and I could have put 30 or 40 more companies on this list of software, but I mean, just to name a few ones, obviously Amiga Technologies, and Petro's here, so he can tell us about that. Gateway, the Gateway years, oh dear. Powered by Amiga, another one that Petro was involved in. The rise of a-eon, an Amiga replacement operating system, as it was originally called. Emulation with Amiga Forever. We've had Michael here today talking about emulation. It started way back in 97, I think. Could be wrong. We had next generation operating systems coming out. And these were going to be the new PowerPC operating systems that would drive the Amigas of the future. And so we had MorphOS, the first one to take up the challenge. This was followed by Gateway not building the computer they're going to build and shutting down the business and selling it to Bill McHugh and Fleecy Moss. And then we had Amino, which became Amiga Inc. And we won't say any more about that. We have Hyperion, iTech, and Amiga OS. And we all know what happened after that. We know all about court cases and everything else. But I think it's really interesting to just say that it's amazing that after all of that trial and tribulation since the death of Commodore, that we're all still here today, celebrating the 30th anniversary of the Amiga. It's pretty amazing, really. So, what am I doing here? I got my first, actually, I'm a little older than most of you, so I got my first computer. It was a Commodore PET 4032. I was going to build a ZX80, but I decided Commodore PET was better. Just a bit. And I didn't choose an Apple. I could have chosen an Apple, but I got a Commodore PET. So then I went Commodore 64 after seeing international soccer playing in a computer store. I just had to have it. So unfortunately, in those days, I couldn't afford to keep the PET and the 64, so I traded in my PET and got Commodore 64. Commodore 128, Commodore 128D. You see a trend here? And then I moved to the States, and I was working in Texas, and my my 128 got blown up, the power surge through a thunderstorm, and on my insurance certificate it said acts of God. I thought that's pretty good, an act of God. So I bought an Amiga 2000, and that's how I got into Amigas. So in 1988, I got my first Amiga, the Amiga 2000. Then a 3000, then a 4000, and 4000 Tower, and I wanted an Amiga 5000. But it's the back there now, so you can buy one. So anyway. I formed a company, I jointly founded a company called a-eon Technology, and we are just Amiga enthusiasts. My co-founder, Matthew Lehman, cut his teeth on Amiga 1200, he's a lot younger than me. So we have a grounding in Amiga computers, in Commodore computers. Our first product was the Amiga 1X1000, which was released, actually, I'll leave that for the moment. Our first product was the X1000. And we're interested in all forms of Amiga, and any form that Amiga takes. I'm not one for all this fighting and bitching and moaning about this, that, and the other. We're a small enough group of people, we should all work together for the benefit of the community that still exists. And let's grow the community, because I want it to be around in 30 years' time. I won't be, but I hope the community is. So we released the X1000 we launched it at the Vintage Computer Festival